Hello, it is Matthew with Dead to Rights. Today I read a story or an article or something that kind of proved to me that our culture, at least in America, because I'm American, so that's kind of what I read about, we have no idea what a relationship is and what it's for, what a relationship is for, the purpose of it. The reason that I kind of thought about this is because there was a story about Emma Watson, who is an actress, very famous for, I believe, Harry Potter, I think is how she got her start. And she's known to be a little bit kind of crazy in her opinions, and as most child actors and actresses are, and how they become a little bit crazy in their thoughts and opinions. They don't really understand life because they never really had to live a normal life, so they kind of just grow up in a weird system of defining their own thoughts and beliefs, and these things are kind of separated from reality. But I was reading this article that said that Emma Watson has created a new term called self-partnering. So she apparently is not happy with the word single. She does not want to be referred to as single or be referenced as being single. She doesn't want to be considered happily single either. She wants to be in a relationship with herself. And so this just really signifies the reality that Emma Watson has no idea what a relationship is. She has no clue what the purpose or the meaning of a relationship is if she thinks that, well, I can be self-partnered. I can be partnered with myself. It's just it's a crazy statement in and of itself. But it also just proves the point. She's, I think, 35, a little bit older than I am. People of my generation and younger generations, and I don't know, maybe even some older generations, have no idea when they talk about relationships and they talk about marriage or dating or, all these kind of things in terms of being with another person or relationships, whether it's romantically or just personal relationships, friendships. They have no clue what they're talking about. Emma Watson being a primary example of this. She has no clue what she's talking about when she's talking about relationships and I'm self-partnered. I'm in a relationship with myself. I think what was it, Demi Lovato? I think one time said I'm loving myself. Maybe she made a song about this. It's completely backwards, right? And it gets to this point that people have of self definitions. I get to define for myself what words and what things mean that are kind of outside of, it's not like saying, well, I'm defining what a chair is or I'm defining. No, these are topics, these are things that are beyond oneself. A relationship, a marriage, a partner, these things are beyond. The concept of these goes beyond oneself and your ability. These are, I can only say systematic uh, words and definitions that have been passed down from generation to generation because they have meaning and they have value to society. Loving oneself does not have value to one society. You may say, well, a healthy person produces a healthy society, but that's not what loving oneself is. That's not promoting. Tell me that these people who are saying I love myself, tell me that Demi Lovato or Emma Watson are healthy individuals. They're not. And so these are oftentimes people who are severely depressed, severely anxious. They are separated from society. I mean, Emma Watson is not a part of society. She has 24/7 bodyguards. She does not go out in public. She probably doesn't buy her own groceries. She is not a person that is engaging in society in anything except for what is fake. I mean, she's an actress. All that people know about her are fake things, and all of her opinions are and her viewpoints of life are built out of a lifestyle that is separated from society. And everything she learns is from people who are fake and are producing things that are fake. So I don't trust Emma Watson's viewpoint on what a healthy life is, or a healthy mindset is. And further to this point, because people are so prone in this culture to define themselves, I mean, that's, what is my identity? What do you mean, what is your identity? You are who you are. It's not simply because they're not asking, well, what is my profession? What do I like and dislike? They're saying, what is my innate characteristic as a person, my identity? And they seek to self-fulfill that. I want to determine my own identity, and we're in a culture now that's making up words in order to define themselves. Well, obviously, this leads to social breakdown. I mean, if you just look at a sociological perspective, a society cannot exist when you have millions of people who cannot agree on common viewpoints and beliefs and practices. It just won't work, right? If I fully believe that I should spank my child, and my wife fully believes that it's evil and horrible to spank my child, and I think that there is no better parenting than to spank your child when they do something like lie or steal or do something like that. And my wife says, no, that's abuse, that I will not be married to a person who spanks her child. Well, we're going to have a dysfunctional marriage, and we're certainly going to have a dysfunctional parenting. Because either I'm going to have to parent in a way that I do not think is best for my child, or my wife is going to have to parent in a way that she thinks is abusive to our child and not what's best for our child, or we're both going to parent differently depending on who's around, and it just will lead to dysfunction. It just will lead to chaos within the home. Well, society is just a lot of homes put together. If we can't agree to certain, uh, common beliefs and practices, I'm not saying that we all have to agree to every little issue, but when it comes to things like relationships and what marriage is, and what a union is, and what are these big issues that affect society, if we can't agree on these things, then we are going to struggle as a society to hold together. Furthermore, this points to an atheistic, at the very least agnostic, but most likely atheistic cultural worldview that this country has. That we want to determine ourselves, rather than acknowledging that some things like marriage and institutions are beyond our own definitions and our own making. We don't get to determine what my marriage is. We don't get to determine what it's for. I can't sit here and say, well, my marriage is going to be about me. And my wife is going to sit there and go, well, my marriage is going to be about me. And if I don't get what I want, then I'm not going to be happy. And if I come to it and say, well, if I don't get what I want, I'm not going to be happy. And if we both act like that, if we both define our marriage differently, because the most natural thing is going to be to define something on the basis of what is most beneficial to the self, right? If I just get to determine what everything means in life, then I'm just going to determine that everything means what's beneficial to me. So, what does it mean to be a father? Well, whatever's the most beneficial to me. What does it mean to be in a marriage? Well, whatever's the most beneficial to me. Because I'm selfish, and I don't want to live my life for other people, and I don't want to think critically about life, or about these deep topics, and I don't want to accept some greater authority, whether it be from the state, which I don't think has authority over us, or whether it be from God, who I believe does have authority over us. You see, there's this constant effort by our culture, and it's shown in Emma Watson saying, well, I reject singleness. I reject being happily single. I reject being partnered with someone. I want to be self-partnered and I want to love myself, and that's good enough for me. And this just doesn't work because it's not what marriage is. It's not what partnership is. Partnership is the co-equalness between two parties. To my knowledge, Emma Watson doesn't have multiple personality disorder. If she did, maybe she could be partnered between two of the personalities, even though obviously I'm being facetious and being sarcastic, but some people might actually take that seriously. And if I went down a rabbit hole, I probably could find examples of people who actually did. But the bigger issue is we are a society that rejects authority. And even I mean, 30 mid 30-year-olds are rejecting the authority that is in uh well, really they're rejecting God's authority. You see, in the very beginning, God made man and woman, and he put them together, and he made them a couple. He made them partners together, that they would be co-laborers toward a common effort, toward a common goal, and that was reproducing after their own kind and taking hold of the earth. That they would wrestle with this world and bring it into submission under the authority that had been given to them, but that they would do it together. They would do it as co-laborers. This is what marriage is. This is what partnership is. It's not self-partnership, it's sacrificial partnership. I can't sacrifice for myself. That's just selfishness. But I can sacrifice for my wife. I can sacrifice for my children. And my wife can sacrifice for me. You see, Paul talks about this in First Corinthians when he talks about marriage. He says that the husband is not his own, but he is his wife's. And he has duties unto his wife. The wife is not her own, but she has duties unto her husband. You see, our culture, even when we look at partnership between two people, they want to be their own individual. Well, I'm my own person, and if my wife doesn't satisfy me, then I'm unhappy and I want to be out of the marriage. Or if my husband doesn't satisfy me, if I'm not happy and I'm not the center of the marriage, and my needs and my desires and my wishes and my fulfillment isn't the center of my marriage, then that's my focus is me. And if I don't get that, then I'm done. I'm out of here. And I'll find another marriage that will satisfy me. They don't realize that marriage is not about them. It's never been about them. And as much as we as a culture want to try to make it about us, the more it fails. Marriage, you can't tell me that marriage is successful in this culture. I mean, there's more successful and happy marriages in pre-arranged marriages in India. Of course, there's bad marriages in those cultures too, and I'm not sitting there saying that every marriage in America should be turned into an arranged marriage. But certainly there should be an effort to rightly consider that marriage is a God given, God inspired union between two people for the sake of co laboring, that they would produce something greater in this world together than they could apart. And the primary fulfillment of that is in childbearing. It is good that two people get married and have children. In fact, I would go so far as to say it is bad when two people get married with no intention to have children. It's not for that. It's not for my fulfillment and my satisfaction. Now there are secondary benefits to marriage for sure. We are physical bodies with physical needs and physical desires, and marriage fulfills a lot of that. And it fulfills a lot of that in ways that are beneficial to us because the alternatives are detrimental. It is detrimental to society and to your own body to simply go about relationship after relationship and have fleeting sexual affairs, one after the other. That's not conductive, or it's not productive in society. It is better when two people decide together that they are going to commit to a lifelong establishment of co-laboring so that they can raise up children and provide for those children and produce a better future for those children. But self partnering, I'm partnered with myself, I'm married to myself, I'm committed to myself, is nothing more than just a selfishness in their attitude and in their mindset that doesn't produce anything good in society. Because I'm going to go out, if I have that mentality, I'm not going to work with anybody else. You're going to have weak friendships, you're going to have weak relationships with people, even if it's not romantic. It's just going to be weak. It's not going to be societally building up. It's because your mindset is that of yourself. I'm here for myself, I live for myself, I don't live to any authority beyond that. And when everybody decides to do that, nobody's going to make any sacrifices for anybody else. You see, I would make a sacrifice for my wife, gladly. I would make a sacrifice for my child, gladly. But it doesn't just stop with them, because I'm not just partnered with my wife. Now, I am partnered with my wife in a way that is deeper and more special than anybody else in this world. We get to raise children together, and that is one of the most unique and inspiring and beneficial causes that one person can take, or that two people rather can take. You have to have two people to do it. But I'm not just partnered with my wife. You see, that mentality of sacrificial love and giving to other people doesn't just stop with her and my son or whatever other children I have. It goes beyond them to my community. I have a church of people who I agree with. I'm like-minded with them. And I want the best out of them. And if one suffers, all suffer. If one is mourning, all are mourning. If one is joyful, all are joyful. You see, I'm co-laboring with my community as well. I co-labor with people who are poor, who are in need, who say, I need I need help today. Because I believe that Jesus co-labored with man for their benefit, not for his own. Jesus didn't have any needs, and yet he gave and gave and gave for the benefit of other people, to fill other people up in their spirits, and even, I mean, he fed people, he healed people, he did all these things for people that he did not need himself. So even if a stranger comes to me and says, I need help, I need food, well, like Jesus, I'm going to partner with this person. And even if it's sacrificial, I'm going to say, well, I want to help you. Let me help you in whatever way I can. Certainly with the church, so that we can produce something greater than I can do by myself. You see, there is because God has established it, and God is the authority, and He gets to determine my purpose and my plans in life, and I don't get to determine what a church is or what a community is or what love looks like. I don't get to determine what generosity looks like or forgiveness looks like. All of these things go beyond human conceptions. We don't get to determine right from wrong and immorality versus morality. God has determined all these things, just like He's determined marriage, just like He's determined partnership. And I have to bend myself to His will and to His ways in life, or else I will be unproductive in society, and certainly in the grand scheme of God's kingdom. I will just be wholly inept and unproductive at everything I do until I bend myself to His will. And it's better that way. It's better that we do that than the alternative. So don't be like what's her name, Emma Watson, and love yourself, love other people. Be partnered with other people, not yourself. You see, people get this backwards. They think, well, I got to take care of myself before I take care of other people. I don't know. God says He can take care of us. He says, don't worry about food and clothing. God can take care of those things. So, am I concerned about myself? Am I partnered with myself and taking care of my mental, you know, my mental ability and stability and all these things and my mental health? Those things are important. But we should not focus on that and neglect the partnership that we should have with other people. Well, that's gonna be it. That's just my thoughts from reading the dumb story about Emma Watson, and just my thoughts on it because why not? I have thoughts on it. So have a great day. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Whenever, I don't know when, but whenever I do, I hope you're blessed and keep looking to Jesus. Be partnered with Jesus first and foremost, and then be partnered with other people. Have a great day or a great